Mark Wilson, new head coach of Partick Thistle. How does that sound?
Sounds very good. You know, it's a great honour to be affiliated with this club at any level, and even when I came in to take the under-18s, again I felt something special. And at this club, hugely historic, magnificent fan base and a big club, so to be promoted, because that's what it is internally, is special to me, and to be the head coach, you know, is something not to be taken lightly. So delighted, but a lot of work to be done.
After playing at a high level for a good number of years, you've had managerial jobs before. What do you know now that you didn't then?
Well, a lot, if I'm honest. I mean, I came out of playing and I was awarded my first managerial role pretty quickly. I think I was the youngest manager in the SPFL at that time. And you know what, we were pretty successful, but you're still wet behind the ears in a lot of things in terms of dealing with that dressing room environment. Managing is different from just being a coach, of course, where you need that interaction with 25 players and staff members. And at that time, in those two jobs, it allowed me time to cut my teeth and see the inner workings of a dressing room environment and a club environment. It's not just the players you need to manage. Of course, it's the people who work upstairs at the club, the full staff, the full infrastructure, and of course, more importantly, the fans. So within that time, there was a lot of things that went well and a lot of things that probably didn't go well. And I think for any coach, any young coach, you have to take the good from those experiences, but also learn from the bad. So it certainly made me more equipped at dealing with difficult situations, because in previous clubs there were difficult situations. And just in terms of the coaching side of it, you're never the finished article when you go in. You think you know everything coming out of playing because you think it's easy, and you think, well, how hard can it be? The manager sets up a formation and that's it. So you quickly learn in that regard, and I think I've taken a lot from that time, and that was one of the reasons I stepped back into the under-18 role. It allowed me time to breathe as a coach. It allowed me time to experiment, to try things, working things without the fear of losing your job, and I think that's made me better equipped as a coach. So took a lot from those first two jobs, took a lot from my 3 months in interim charge along with Brian here, and it's put me in a good place.
The club have been very open that the job is head coach. How did it work in terms of your relationship with the sporting director?
Well, I've gotten great with Ian Barraclough since he's come in, and it's a hugely important role, and I think it's the right structure that the club's put in place. And I said that when I was sitting working in the academy, that I felt that this club needed someone that sits between the board and the management team. Now that was put in place as a sporting director, and Ian came in and he had maybe about 8 weeks working alongside Brian and myself, and of course he has to find his feet within that club environment. He has to know the players, he has to know what's in front of him first and foremost. And the fortunate thing for myself was that Ian could cast his eye on everything that we were doing on a day-to-day basis. So in terms of an interview process for the job, we were already far ahead of anybody else. There is no better process than seeing people work in a day-to-day environment. So we were quite fortunate in that respect, but it was up to ourselves then to conduct ourselves in the right way, put our message across clearly, and for Ian to recognise that. And that's where we've got to. So a lot of the discussions we've had were all along the same lines: our vision for the club, our strategy, our long-term future for Partick Thistle. And that's what's attracted us to each other. So up until now, we're working very well. But like I said before, there's a lot of hard work, and there's going to be a lot of discussions around a table how we get Partick Thistle moving in the right direction.
In simple terms, would it be fair to say coaches coach and directors direct?
Yeah, in a simple way. So a head coach role differs from a manager's role. A manager, you are dealing with everything that comes in your plate, from agents to contracts to negotiating for the last pound with players, to other staff members. A head coach deals with what's in front of him: the tactics, the players, the recruitment, the style of play, the identity of the club. And that's something that I was comfortable with. I knew which role was coming up when we were in interim charge. I knew that was going to be the structure, and it was something that I'm comfortable working under. I think again, for any young coach out there who's starting, I think it's a great a great method, a great structure. I had it in my first club. I leaned heavily on the sporting director on that role, and we got the best in that situation. So coming into this one, I've experienced head coach, I've experienced manager. I know what I prefer at this minute.
You mentioned a phrase there, the identity of the club. During your time with Brian, interim management team, 4 young players made their debuts from your under-18 squad. Is that a theme you'd like to continue with?
It's got to be. Ever since I came to the club a couple of years ago, and I wasn't being biased because I was in that under-18 role, but I think a club like Partick Thistle, I was amazed at the lack of youth produced and coming through the system, and then, you know, moving them on, because let's be honest, that's what we want to see. We want to see youth players coming in and really making an impact into the first team and really getting a high volume of games under their belt. And if that can produce players that we can then move on to help the club sustain that youth policy, then great. But I didn't see the pathway or the connection, and we managed to get it moving in the right direction. And you see some of the players that we integrated into the squad, those players weren't in there just to make up the numbers by any manner of means, or because I was under 18s and I wanted to make a statement. Those players were in there on merit, and what Brian and I installed was that bridge that they could come and train with the first team, and we could see them at close quarters competing with players who'd played full seasons and had hundreds of games under their belt. And what we saw was players who could compete. So when it came to the situation of throwing some of them in, I had no second thoughts of doing that. And that's what we want the identity of this club to be. Now the players have got to earn it. There is no way we will put players in that don't deserve their spot in our first team. It's a great privilege, or should be a great privilege, to play for this club. And the young players have got to know that from a young age. And I think the group that we have understood that. So when they were given their chance, they didn't take it lightly, and they've performed well. And let's hope we can see more of that.
Another very important group, the fans.
Yeah.
There was a tremendous unity between the fans and the team just a fortnight ago at Livingston. It had been building over a number of weeks. How important will it be to get that back at the start of the new season?
Well, it's needed for this club. This fan base has this club has a huge fan base, and we saw the best of it in the closing 2 weeks. I couldn't believe the support. I really couldn't, that we got in the playoffs, because I know this has been a tricky season, or last season was a tricky season. I can understand that. I can understand the frustration, and when a management team is replaced and it's been a bit slow in terms of us as interim and then this period, I can understand why they were restless. But when it got to the playoffs, I really thought we'd seen the best of what Partick Thistle fans can bring to this club. The passion, the backing, the colour, and it came ahead obviously at Ayr away when we get a great result, and some of the pictures will live with me, but certainly the players, and certainly one of the young players in Jamie Lowe for a long time. It was remarkable. But to take that into the Livingston game and the ovation that the players got, again with the colour and the passion, the noise for the full game, when things weren't going our way, is exactly what we all need in this situation. The club has now moved in a different direction, and we all need to be together, and the fans are going to be huge in that backing. And will there be some rough times? I've no doubt there will be some rough times. I hope there'll be more good times than rough times though, but it's in those rough times that we need the fans to stay with us, and together with them we will be a force to be contended with.
What are the plans for today and next week?
Today, well, in the next hour to 5 minutes after this, a lot of phone calls to be made, as you can imagine. We're behind time, and there's no doubt in that. There's no point in hiding that. So we've all been in a wee bit of limbo, and I include myself in that, and that's because this process has been thoroughly conducted by the board. So today it's about touching base with the actual staff and players at the club. Those are the first point of contact to see where we stand. There's other outlying issues that obviously need addressed, but the immediate concern is to let the playing squad know what's happening. Now, of course, the media will put that out there and they'll have a fair idea, but I think it's important that they hear from me, and we'll take it from there.
If we can just finish on a bit of a lighter note. Clyde 1 Super Scoreboard microphone has been put away.
It's been put away, yeah. Like this, I love my time. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's been a big part of my life for the last, 10 years, 11 years, something like that. And I still kept going when I was at my previous clubs because it allowed me. But this is a different club. This is a fully focused opportunity that I've got here. So it's hung up for now. And my full attention will be turning to Partick Thistle, and that's what this club deserves.
Mark, on behalf of everyone at the club, we wish you well.
Thank you.